What's going on, my babies? Welcome back to another episode of the Spiritual Word. As always, I apologize for any noises in the background in advance and anything of that nature. And before I start these, I like to start these off with a disclaimer by stating that these are for entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research to come to your own conclusions, to have your own answers, to make your own decisions, and I believe in your ability to do so and to be your own person. So, in today's episode, I want to talk about idiot compassion. So, today's episode is going to be Spirituality for Dummies. What is idiot compassion? So, I love to talk about Buddhist philosophy because, in my opinion, Buddhist philosophy is like, I don't know, it's just like the most circumstantial, like the most evidentially based, like scientifically and philosophically based. And because I'm somebody who uses a lot of logic and reasoning to understand what is happening in my life, I feel like Buddhism does that really well, which is why I use Buddhist philosophy a lot in these episodes. But also, before I start these, I have a audio version and a video version. One's on YouTube, the other is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find podcasts. And if science, psychology, spirituality, self-help, and philosophy are things you're interested in, then I recommend subbing or following, because those are my main go-to topics. So today's Spirituality for Dummies is idiot compassion. So in Buddhist philosophy, they talk about having compassion with no regards for the outcome is the best way that I can put it, or the best way that I can describe it. Because the best way that I can describe what idiot compassion is like you giving to somebody when you have nothing left. You trying to be generous when you yourself are like homeless and you have nothing to give and you can't give. Or I feel like it's a really bad example because I feel like that's just you trying to be. I don't really like to use that as idiot compassion, although you could describe that as one form of idiot compassion because you're not being compassionate towards yourself when you need it at that moment. Another form of idiot compassion could be you giving to a junkie, you giving money to a junkie, or you giving money to a drug addict, knowing that they're going to go spend that money on drugs. That's what idiot compassion is. It's you giving because you want to give rather than you want to help this person. And it's kind of like purposefully doing good for the sake of getting good out of this situation. It's idiot compassion in return is just another form of like manipulating. Or you might think that you're doing a good job or a good deed for somebody or, something of that nature, and you're really not. And you kind of know that, or maybe you don't know that. That's why it's called idiot compassion, because maybe you don't know. Maybe you're ignorant to the fact that you're not doing something that is beneficial. And I really like the analogy of like giving to a junkie because I feel like that's a really good analogy for what idiot compassion is, and I'm trying to keep this very simple, clear, cut, to the point. So idiot compassion is literally you giving to people without really taking into account or taking into consideration the outcome of the situation or the outcome of what is going to happen to them after you do this thing that's supposedly good for the situation. Like another thing you could be wondering is, how do I give to people generously? And you might not realize that, like, let's say you want to help somebody and so you want to give them money or something. That could be your action of generosity, but your generosity is not actually coming from a place of wisdom, right? That's where you get idiot. Wisdom is the reverse of, ignorance. And idiot is just a shorter version of ignorance. So, let's say you want to give it to somebody and you're like, okay, this is the person that I choose. How can I be generous? Let me give this person money. You don't know what they're going to spend that on. And what they could spend that on is something that could actually be bad for them. And so you're contributing to their karmic cycles. And therefore you're getting not so good karma from doing this good action. And not that the karma really matters, but it's about the compassionate action, right? Most people, they want to do good because they want to be a good person, but that in return makes you a not so good person because you're not using your your knowledge to your advantage. And if you're trying to be generous, then you should just be generous. You shouldn't, you know, be generous for something in return, whether that be the title of calling yourself a generous person. And or somebody else watching this and calling you a generous person. And it could be even more surface level than I'm saying right now. It could be something like you want to give to this person because you think that it would be a really good thing to do, and no one's watching you do this thing. And you're not trying to do this for the egotistical thing of like saying that you're generous, right? You're just doing this thing to be a good person. That's another form of idiot compassion because you have to recognize what you're doing. Is it the right time? Do you yourself have enough resources to be able to give to people? Or are you struggling? Or, you know, I don't want to say, are you struggling? Because I feel like a lot of people, they misinterpret that and they're like, well, yeah, I'm struggling, but everybody's struggling. It's more of like, what are you trying to give to somebody? Are you trying to give them your time, your efforts, your energy, your love? What are you trying to give to this person? And is that wise for you to do? Is that a wise investment for your existence? Or should they have to struggle so that they learn through those struggles? And sometimes idiot generosity or idiot compassion could be something along the lines of tying somebody's shoe for them every single time that they need their shoe tied, and to the point where they don't know how to tie their own shoe. You're being generous, but to the point of their downfall, because now they don't know how to tie their shoe. And so I think that's why a lot of people, they struggle to make it, and then they don't help the next person. But I think that low-key, the next person has to learn on their own, which everybody has their own routes in life. So in order for you to not have or to not use idiot compassion, you just have to be wise in your decisions and wise when it comes to being compassionate with these people. Are you being compassionate for the sake of just calling yourself a good person? Because that's your ego. Or are you doing it for someone else to look at you and be like, oh, wow, you're such a good person? Ego. Or are you doing it for the reasons that you don't even know is ego or egotistical? Like for the fact that you want to help this person and you never want to see the world struggle. Because that's also ego. You want to save this person. And your ego is like, I can save this person. I can help them. I can help them. Me. Right? When you use no ego or the dissolving of the ego, you're just doing good for the sake of, contributing to the whole melting pot that is life. And you can't really contribute to the melting pot that is life other than doing what you know is, like objectively good. Like, for example, something that is the opposite of idiot compassion would be taking care of yourself, because that's something that you can do, and it's not something that's egotistical unless you're doing it for an egotistical reason. But let's just say for this metaphor to work, you're doing something that is really good for you, like exercising, and you hate it. You hate exercising. You helping you is a form of compassion because you're helping the world dissolve a little bit of ego. And that's what you're trying to get at. You're trying to get at emptiness, right? So with that being said, I'm going to end this here. Thanks for tuning in and tapping in. And as always, I hope that this was helpful in any way, shape, and form. And if it wasn't, I hope that it was entertaining in some way, shape, and form, or fascinating in some way, shape, and form. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in and tapping in, my babies. I love you and I appreciate you. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.